We call this regular meeting to order. Call roll.
Mayor Querom.
Here.
Councilmember Swanson.
Here.
Mabry.
Here.
Gomez.
Here.
Newman.
Here. Please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So we're going to start off tonight's meeting with a public comment session, meaning it is time that we set aside for the public only to speak. We will, I know there's some interest in here tonight, I think with sanitary sewers, maybe some other topics as well, but we'll give everyone 3 minutes or so to express your concerns and provide us questions, but there will be no interaction with the council. That goes for any topic. We will hear your concerns and we will note any questions you have. Answers will be provided after we have a chance to consider each concern noted. As to the specific issues we had on Friday before last regarding the storm, we had 3 pumps that malfunctioned. We got them going, but it took time. We also had trouble contacting city employees who were not on call to come out and help. And for those on call and working, they could not hear their phones ringing when they were around the pumps, which was where they spent much of their time, so there were some phone calls missed. A week ago today, I met with the head of our wastewater and street departments. We thoroughly discussed how we handled the storm, what went wrong, what went right, and what we will do better next time, because unfortunately there will be a next time. We do have a game plan, including a new 2-step check system regarding pumps and lift stations and ensuring that phones are looked at every 10 minutes when in the field to check for missed calls and voicemail messages. We are also ensuring that when we are aware that heavy rains are coming, that we will have employees who are not on call who will be available for emergency help when needed. Our street and wastewater employees worked many hours over that weekend and during the week that followed when they picked up storm damage around town. I want to commend them for all they did to get us through the storm prior to, during, and after. One of the new issues we have is sanitary backup concerns on Fletcher Street. We know that the sanitary main along Fletcher is in good condition. We looked at other mains in the area as well, and we can find no issues with any of them. It has been suggested that the sanitary sewer replacement project and the street rebuild of South Church Street that was completed in 2015 may be the cause of the problem, but that doesn't seem to be the case either. During this most recent storm, our pumps removed 13,300,000 gallons of water from the sanitary sewers around town. In December 2015, after the Church Street renovation, we removed 18,900,000 gallons of water due to a storm with no backup issues on Fletcher. Since then, we have had 3 other instances when we removed water from our sanitary sewers due to storms, none of which eclipsed 1 million gallons, and in neither instance did they cause backup issues on Fletcher. In April of this year, we removed 8 million gallons of water, and that event was the first time Fletcher Street residents got back up. April of this year, and now again in September. We continue to look for the cause. We will also continue to look at all areas throughout town, but everything we look at is underground. It makes it difficult and a challenge, but we are committed to doing everything we can to correct current problems and to repair and replace sanitary sewer mains on a consistent and ongoing basis. As for the problems we had during this past storm, we are making no excuses for any of them. We're not perfect. Errors do happen. We learn from them, we correct them, and we move on, and that is what we are doing. Also, for those that are here because of the sanitary sewer system concern, there are 3 handouts over here that explains how our system works, why we get backups, the revenue side of things, and there's also a handout on everything we've done in the last 4 years with our sanitary sewer system. So if you have questions, they may be answered in those handouts. So at that, this is now the public comment. Again, 3 or so minutes on any topic. No council interaction. We'll note your concerns and take your questions, and they will be addressed at a later time once we have time to consider them. So, anybody have public comment? Go ahead and step up.
Not on the city sewer.
You just need your name when you come up.
Okay. Andrew Sims. Here on the flight ordinances. I was looking into stuff and got some recommendations from some people, and they recommended I hand you guys this stuff. Yes. This is different from the email.
Thank you.
It basically states. No, that's fine. So on the ordinance, I would recommend you research it a little more. According to what I've read and what I've been told, FAA has exclusive, I don't remember how it's worded, but basically they have exclusive rights to over there. Just want to let you guys know. I recommend you either deny it or carry it on to research it a little more. Just want to let you know.
Anybody else with public comment?
Don Mansfield. This is regarding the proposed recreational marijuana dispensary here in town. I've made my comments clear to all of you, had a conversation with the mayor as well. In receiving the list of people that voted for the dispensary, I'm still trying to figure out and would like to hear from the council how 1,100 votes is a majority of anybody in Princeton, whether residents, legal voters, or those residents of Bureau County. And I would also like to know what the proposed good is that I keep hearing about, that this would be good for the community to know that this recreational marijuana dispensary would actually bring something good to our community. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Geraldine Woodley. I'm a resident here in Princeton. After that last meeting, hearing about Facebook, I decided to do my own survey. So every meeting I went to, at a church, Lions Club, working at the teens, genealogy, I had people sign this sheet, and 99% of the people that I had are not on Facebook, or I should say all are, but they were 99% against. And so if you want me to go door to door, I'll go door to door, but I'm running out of time. Just so you know that that's the opinion of the majority of the people. They're against it.
Thank you, Joe. Anyone else? Public comments? Just in your name.
Ernie Whittington, Princeton, Illinois. I've heard all about the sewer problems we have. Do I think we have a problem? Yes. Is social media bashing a place to resolve it? No. I look at each and every one of you up here. You have all run for this office because what you believe in your heart is right. That's what makes our government work, a check and balance system. How can we fix this problem? Money. That's it, money. The concerts we have in the community, the Witches' Night Out, everything we have going on is bringing money to this community. The trickle-down effect works. Believe me, I know. I hear people talking about going to Peru and spend money. They're going to save 10 cents a gallon of gas. They're going to save $10 in groceries. They're going to save $100 on a car. Well, wait a minute. The next time you open that basement door and look downstairs and see water in your basement, think about that money you spent in Peru. Those tax dollars could have stayed in this community. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, we'll go ahead and move on to approval of minutes. Commissioner.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes from our regular council meeting on September 16th, 2019.
Second. Motion's been seconded. Any corrections? Call roll.
Councilmember Swanson.
Aye.
Mabry.
Aye.
Gomez.
Aye.
Newman.
Aye.
Mayor Querem.
Aye. And we'll approve invoices with City Clerk Nelson.
In the Department of Accounts and Finances for this period, we have invoices totaling $227,870.75. In the Department of Streets and Public Improvements, we have invoices totaling $91,231.54. In the Department of Public Safety, we have invoices totaling $130,824.69. And in the Department of Public Property and Utilities, we have invoices totaling $151,314.29. Mayor, all council members present have confirmed their reviews of all invoices and now are submitted for disposition.
I move that we approve the invoices as presented.
Second.
Motion's been seconded. Any comments or corrections? Call roll.
Councilmember Swanson.
Aye.
Mabry.
Aye.
Gomez.
Aye.
Newman.
Aye.
Mayor Querem.
Aye. Now go to regular business. Inserting Clerk Nelson.
Okay, next we have the second and final reading of Ordinance O-19-019. This is an ordinance rezoning property owned by Jonathan and Julie Mabry, petitioning to have the property rezoned from residential R1A, single family, to residential R3, multifamily. Mayor, all council members have reviewed this ordinance, and it is submitted for disposition.
I move that we approve ordinance 0-19-019.
Second.
Motion's been seconded. Any comments, corrections? Comments? Call roll.
Councilmember Swanson.
Aye.
Mabry.
I'll abstain.
Gomez.
Aye.
Newman.
Aye.
Mayor Querem.
Aye.
I'll make that notation on Mabry here. Next on our agenda is ordinance O-19-020. This is an ordinance revising city code to prohibit manned aircraft on public grounds. Mayor, this is the second and final reading. All council members have reviewed this ordinance, and it is submitted for disposition.
I move that we approve ordinance O-19-020.
Second.
Motion's been seconded. Any comments?
I just do want to mention that you might notice in your copy that I've highlighted some text changes in red that indicate more of the spirit of what the attorney was after. There were some questions at the first reading. I think Mr. Mabry brought those up. And I think the clarifications that he gave us make it more clear on the spirit of what he was trying to say at that point. So what we're saying here is it is prohibited to operate any non-commercial aircraft in or over any school facility, county facility, park district building, pool facility, pond, ball diamond, soccer field, picnic areas, parks, or other park district property, or open lands, or city-owned facilities, or to take off or land from said facilities, or to take off or land from city-owned streets, unless first authorized by the governing board or its designee. And I think, Ray, you had a further clarification on item 7, which reads, operate any non-commercial aircraft over any person's property without the prior consent of the property owner. It was kind of a consensus between he and I that language stay as is, so that if there are complaints, there is something in the record to bring those complaints forward.
Okay, Pete, I could ask then, and I know we are not authorities on aviation, but so when we look at something like this tonight, I know we just got this, cities and municipalities are not permitted to have their own rules or regulations governing the operation of aircraft. So have the attorney that we're resourcing is using FAA guidelines to make their decision on this, right? I mean, I'm trying to...
I don't have any idea.
I'm a little concerned that even though this has been clarified to some extent, because 2 weeks ago it said something in the nature, like the wording was that we were not allowed to fly over city streets. So I asked about like a Cessna 150 if it's flying over Princeton, going from point A to point B, or if a helicopter is giving rides during the Homestead Festival. I wonder if the council would be advised to if we could just hold off on the second reading for 2 weeks till our first meeting in November, with the understanding from Andy that he would not be flying the paraglider between now and then over city properties. Just as a, I think we just need to clarify, make sure that, again, I have some concerns over the FAA and the what we're doing here, and it wouldn't take but just a few phone calls to make sure we're good to go. So if we just had his approval that he's not going to fly that over the city of Princeton or land or take off at the parks, we could just delay this for 2 weeks just to make sure we're putting the right ordinance in place. Because I don't think we're subject matter experts in this topic tonight.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. It'll be the second meeting in October, not first in November. You said first in November, first meeting in November?
If we can get an answer by then through the FAA.
Okay, well, we can probably get one for our next meeting, yeah.
That sounds good.
I think we just need to be sure that whoever we talk to get advice from understand that this is a public park that is being used. That we've got kids and moms and dogs and things down below. That's really the prime reason why we're prohibiting Andy from doing this.
Absolutely, and I envision that we will not have him landing or taking off at that park, but I think also we need to make sure the rest of the rules we put into play here, if that's correct.
Just need a table of motion? Or a motion to table, talking, yeah.
I make a motion that we table this second reading of the ordinance until the next meeting in October. Second.
Motion's been second, call roll.
Councilmember Swanson.
Aye.
Mabry.
Aye.
Gomez.
Aye.
Newman.
Aye.
Mayor Querem.
Aye.
Next on the agenda is Resolution R-19-033. This is a resolution accepting the low bid and financing terms for a new ambulance. Mayor, all council members have reviewed this resolution and it is submitted for disposition.
I move that we approve Resolution R-19-033.
Second.
Motion's been second, comments? Call roll.
Councilmember Swanson.
Aye.
Mabry.
Aye.
Gomez.
Aye.
Newman.
Aye.
Mayor Querem.
Aye.
Okay, so the city's announcing its invitation to bid on the annual use of chemicals in the water treatment system. And what's the next page here? So the City of Princeton Water Department will accept sealed bids from reputable suppliers of hydrofluorosilicic acid, hydrated lime, liquid calcium hydroxide, sodium hypochlorite, and CO2 used in our potable water supply treatment process. Specifications are on file with City Hall, the City Clerk's Office, 2 South Main Street, Princeton, Illinois. All bids must be returned in a sealed envelope clearly marked on the outside, chemical bid. Sealed bids must be received in the City Clerk's Office no later than Thursday, October 31st, 2019 at 1 p.m. Bids will be publicly opened at that time and place. Faxed and emailed bids will not be accepted, and the city reserves the right to accept or reject any and all bids. Questions can be directed to Tim Forrestal, Superintendent of Water, or John Eggers, Chief Operator of the Water Department.
Okay, we don't have a city manager report tonight, so I'll go right to the mayor's report. I got a couple of proclamations. First one is for Freedom House. Domestic violence is a prevalent societal problem, harming victims, their children, family, friends, and communities at large. Domestic violence knows no boundaries and impacts women, men, and children of every age, race, economic background, sexual orientation, and belief. Nearly 1 in 4 women and 1 in 7 men in the United States have suffered physical violence by an intimate partner. Many victims are deprived of their autonomy, liberty, and security and face tremendous threats to their health, safety, and economic security, and the health, safety, and economic security of their children at the hands of their batterers. Domestic Violence Awareness Month provides an excellent opportunity for citizens to learn more about preventing domestic violence and to show support for the numerous organizations and individuals who provide critical advocacy services and assistance to victims. Therefore, it is proclaimed that the Mayor and the City Council of the City of Princeton proclaim the month of October as Domestic Violence Awareness Month and urge the citizens of Princeton, Illinois to work together to eliminate domestic violence from their community. Therefore, I, Princeton Mayor Joel Querem, do hereby proclaim October 2019 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month in the City of Princeton, Illinois. I also have one for the Illinois Association for Home and Community Education, requesting that the week of October 14th through October 18th be proclaimed as HCE, Home and Community Education Week in Princeton, Illinois. The purpose of the Illinois Association for Home and Community Education is to empower individuals and families to improve their quality of living through continuing education, leadership development, and community service. IAHCE is a voluntary nonprofit organization functioning in cooperation with the University of Illinois Extension. It was founded in January of 1924 as Illinois Home Bureau Federation. The Illinois Home Bureau Farm Bureau Federation became the Illinois Homemakers Extension Federation in 1962. Then in 1993, the name was changed to Illinois Association for Family and Community Education. So therefore, I, Princeton Mayor Joel Querom, do hereby proclaim the week of October 14th to October 18th as Home and Community Education Week in the city of Princeton, Illinois. Trick-or-treat hours. So trick-or-treat hours will be on Halloween, and they will be from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Children under the age of 12 need to be supervised by an adult. And I have one more on my item here. Just give me a second. The City of Princeton Water Department is providing the following public service announcement. In preparation for our semi-annual water main flushing, the City of Princeton Water Department has increased chlorine levels in the water. So if you've been noticing a slightly stronger odor of chlorine, that's what it is from. If you don't like this odor when you're drinking water, you can keep a pitcher of water in the refrigerator and the chlorine will dissipate after just a few minutes. So we will be conducting the citywide hydrant flushing between the hours of 7 a.m. and 3 p.m. beginning Monday, October 14th, and that will continue for approximately 2 weeks. During this time, you'll not only notice a possible odor of chlorine, but also cloudy or discolored water and brief periods of low water pressure. If you have any questions or concerns about this, you can contact the Princeton Water Plant at 872-0811, extension 1304. And that is all I have. Do we have old business?
If I could, Mayor, first off, so the folks understand, then you're going to give them, there'll be an open comment period for them at the end of the meeting here as well, for the folks who might have something else to say.
No, we always have a public comment.
Absolutely. So one of the challenges we face is the mayor has brought up it a couple times on his Facebook as well as an email to us, and there's a handout there that we need to work on revenue streams. And one of the things I want to do is just take a few minutes to kind of clarify something. When something goes on Facebook, there's sometimes a presumption that it's true or 100% correct unless somebody that maybe wants to counter that, that's a party to the story, would come forward. I'm not a Facebooker, and I make a lot of jokes about my flip phone, but that's my life, and I enjoy that. People want to talk to me, they know how to get a hold of me, and I do a lot of face-to-face. I do a lot of visiting with people at their homes. But I want to clarify one thing, and it's kind of old news, but we're going to, just to clarify it, and then we're going to move on. The two things that the mayor brought up for revenue, increasing revenue streams, he brings up the fact, and the handout will be there, but basically it talks about revenue is a driving force for all we do in Princeton. Without revenue streams, we can do nothing. Addressing another storm or looking for solutions makes adding new revenue sources vitally important. Turning our backs to businesses wanting to open or expand in town, turning away that revenue, it is bad for the city. In recent years, we have turned away a business wanting to buy a tax-exempt building and adding it to the property tax rolls. That was lost revenue. It wasn't a lot, but each dollar of new revenue is important in the grand scheme of things. More recently, the council has been at odds as to whether we should allow a dispensary to locate in town with the added benefit of a 3% tax. After what people experienced in April, and again on Friday, this should have 100% council support. So I'm just going to address the two parts of this. And first is, I'll take 100% ownership in the second part, that I still feel that a marijuana dispensary is not a good thing for Princeton. I've made it clear what my stand is on that, and my feedback I've gotten from the community has been literally almost 100% support, the people that have contacted me. And I realize that I may be in a different realm of people that make contact with me, but the last council meeting I challenged people. I said, if you have a concern over my stand, if you want to add to it or talk to me about it, here's my phone number, here's how you contact me. And in that week after the council meeting on Monday night, I had a total of 4 people make personal contact with me. Over the phone, a very nice lady discussing her stand on very pro about recreational marijuana. She's a registered nurse, and she just was very nice. We had a 10-minute conversation. I had a business owner come in and talk to me that was pro recreational marijuana. I had a nice lady in her 80s call me and say, continue the good fight. I appreciate what you're doing. And her little circle of friends also was supportive. And I had a gentleman stop me on the way to McDonald's and made it very clear, I want to thank you for your stand on recreational marijuana. But I want to now go from there, though, and address the first part of the mayor's comments about the tax-exempt building. And to just kind of refresh our memory, I made a copy of the Bureau County Republican. I'm going to give you guys, everyone on the council, a quick copy of this. So this is from the June 19th, 2018 Bureau County Republican, as reported by Goldie Rapp. There'll be some additional copies here if you'd like to look at this after the council meeting. We're going to paraphrase this because I don't want to keep you all night. So basically, published June 19th of 2018 in the Bureau County Republican, it says, after voting down two proposals earlier this month for the purchase of the former recycling building on the corner of North Main Street and Railroad Avenue, the Princeton City Council will now be looking into the option of putting it up for auction. So it goes on to say here that 2 weeks ago, the council was split on whether to sell the building to Princeton High School for a bus barn or to Premier Products, a flashlight business, hoping to use it as warehouse facility. Council members Mabry, Fabia, and Swanson voted in favor of selling it to the Princeton High School. Mayor Querim and Councilmember Newman voted for Premier Products. Without the 4-vote majority necessary to sell city property, both proposals failed. So it goes on to say Mabry was the one to bring up the idea of putting the building up for auction to the council during Monday's regular meeting. And it goes on for me saying, basically, and you'll have to understand this is on June 19th of 2018, that I was asking the council, since we couldn't make an agreement on selling the building to one entity or the other, to go ahead and just put the building up for auction. And I'm quoted here saying, it would give the two parties who submitted proposals to bid on the property, as well as any third party. We could get this project back on board and hopefully get one of the suitors to be a successful bidder. Swanson and Fabia agreed with Mabry's idea for an auction. So that was back June 19th of 2018. Now we'll move forward to an offer to purchase on the building made by Mike and Linda Judge. I'm going to pass this out. This is a written offer from Mike and Linda Judge, who own 712 Main LLC, dated August 6th of 2018. So it's after the council being unable to decide to sell the building either to the high school or to Premier Products, but also deciding not to have an auction on the property. So it goes on to say that this is a proposal from the judges to purchase the old recycling center for the sum of $150,000, payable within 14 days upon acceptance of the proposal. They also go on to say that they're going to use the building for storage of warehouse for storage of construction equipment related to their car wash or items that are used in the car wash. They were going to use Kastner steel buildings to do the exterior work on the building and Kramer garage doors to install new doors, and then they're going to repaint the entire outside of the building with all the improvements to be made within 90 days of closing, weather permitting. So this offer was submitted to the city on August 6th, and it says to the City Council and the City of Princeton. I didn't know about this offer until about 3 or 4 weeks after this August 6th date when Mike Judge stopped me and he said, what's going on with the offer we submitted to the city for the building we'd like to buy? I said, Mike, I have no clue what you're talking about. So this is an offer that came in, and he said he delivered it to the City of Princeton, to the city representatives, for the purchase of the same building we're talking about, that we could have sold it to a third suitor for $150,000 cash with the idea they were going to improve on the building and put it back on the tax rolls. Now I'd like to go on, if I could, and we're going to talk about an email that was circulated back and forth. Let's see, actually we're going to go to October 2nd, Bureau County Republican, again by Goldie Rapp. Again, we're going to try to wrap this up, I promise you. You got other things to talk about. I'm sure that are more important than this. So, October 2nd of 2018 is a article by Goldie Rapp, the Bureau County Republican. Unforeseen costs delay sale of old recycling center. It goes on to say that we had some unforeseen costs, and the mayor discusses those unforeseen costs, which was approximately $500,000 for a new vacuum truck and various water main breaks. It goes on to say that that basically on page 2, on Monday, Mabry said since that vote, he talked with PHS Superintendent Kurt Caring and learned that the school board was no longer interested in the building. And so I said basically I would be in support of a business at this point because the high school has backed away and is no longer a suitor of that building. I would be in favor of going back for a RFP, which is a request for a proposal, adding it might be prudent to go into executive session to discuss the sale price. So at that point, there's question whether we can sell the building at that point by council members. So we go from one extreme with possibly selling the building and then offering a couple of options to sell it to now not sure if we should be selling the building. And then finally, I have one more article here. This is an email that I sent to Rachel on October 10th. And it goes into detail. It says, "Good morning, Rachel. I wanted to share an idea with you regarding the city building on Main Street we had requested proposals for. I had asked Jerry Newman to view the building since he had never looked inside it as to what we were dealing with. We toured the building yesterday with Jeff Mangridge. I took some measurements as a reference. The building is approximately 72 by 200. Jerry and I also toured the recycling building we just vacated. I had suggested, after viewing the two buildings, that it seemed to me that we could take the building and install a overhead door with an operator on the east end and close the sliding doors on the west end. Now, this is the old recycling building, one out by we call our brush pit there on North Euclid. Basically securing the building for a minimum cost of, say, $8,000 to $10,000. This building would be a good interim location for the items in the building on Main Street. We could then take the next 12 to 14 months to plan long-term as to what the best course of action is on the building. I would even have no problem taking the projected amount of the building sale of $150,000, less the $10,000 upgrades, to use these funds towards immediate expenses in the electric department. As a realtor who has a handle on the local market, a proposed $150,000 buyer who will upgrade the building, putting it back on the property tax rolls, and has indicated the merchandise stored in the building would be items which, when sold, generate sales tax. All seem to be a win-win for all involved. So basically, I'm discussing the idea of possibly, moving the stuff out of the building and putting this building up for sale. And then basically, there's a page here that talks about the mayor says, again, on the same day he responded back, as we discussed during our last meeting, our budget concerns do not support selling the building to anyone at this time. Again, I repeat, our budget concerns do not support selling the building to anyone at this time. And then the final page, I say on October 15th, I make the comment to Joel as well as to Rachel that if the council had sold the building 3 months ago to either party, what was the plan then for the alternate storage area? In summary, if a potential buyer has offered to purchase the building at a sum far greater than the other two proposals, give the city all the funds up front, agree to renovate the building, putting it back on the tax rolls, why not go out for a RFP, request for proposals? My only fear is by delaying this, the buyer might find an alternate location. Thank you, Ray Mabry. The whole point of the matter is that I'd like to clarify that we have tried to sell this building, and so the comment made that we turned our backs on businesses wanting to buy a tax-exempt building, I think the dialogue here tonight shows that we offered an alternate to auction it off. We found out that a third party came in with an offer far greater than the other two for cash that was going to go ahead and renovate the building. And so the point is, Mayor, I would just ask that if I think I'm tagged wrong on this, that you feel that I'm not trying to sell that building or also bring business to town. And when you say something like two of the council members were against something, I don't mind you using my name. So if you feel I'm against something or for something, just say Ray Mabry, council member, and you can always put my phone number if somebody wants to get in contact with me. I don't think we need to hide who these people are. So that's my comment about old business. I'll take 100% of the responsibility over my stand on the recreational marijuana and how I feel about that, but I'd like you to no longer put in here on your emails, your Facebook, or even the handout right there, that there were certain council members that were against businesses, and it says here, that was lost revenue, that's bad for the city. I feel like we've tried hard, and there's some council members here tonight that are with me in this. Ray Swanson, you were right there with me trying, and then the other council member that's no longer on our council is Laura Fabia, and she was in there the same situation. So,
well, when we put this out for RFPs and we got those two bids, Rachel had a plan on what we could do with the stuff that was in that building as far as finding other storage for it. So we went ahead and pushed through to try to get that building sold. And, again, two of us wanted to sell it to a viable business, and three wanted to keep it tax exempt at that time. Now, when that building did not sell and we moved forward, we started hearing from department heads, especially the electric department, because that's their equipment out there. That takes up most of that building. And I think the fire department also has some equipment in there, and there were trucks. So where were we going to put those as well? So we kind of backtracked on it because we wanted to find what can we do as far as finding available storage place for the spots for that equipment. Now, that's one of the reasons why Mike Judge's bid was not, and this again wasn't a bid, this was not as a result of an RFP. He just dropped this thing off at City Hall one day. And that's all that is. So it's not like an official bid or anything. We did not put out an RFP. Now, as far as what we were going to do with that building in selling it to somebody and trying to find available space, in this email you referred to on October 10th, I reached out to you by saying, I said, because this is a project I'm confident we can all get behind, I am asking you to work toward finding a viable storage solution for the contents of our recycling building, which would allow us the opportunity to sell the business to a business entity, jobs, and the expansion of our tax base. You never got back to me on that, and you didn't do anything, so I then asked Jerry Newman to do it. And Jerry he went around, he talked to people in the electric department, I think the fire department. Jerry might, I don't know if you want to weigh in, but he submitted a report to the city council that at this point it did not make sense to sell that building because we did not have the equipment. So now we're looking, and we did briefly discuss the possibility of building a building out at our street compound that we could use for storage. Of course, that's going to cost the city about $1 million. So that's been tabled. So the whole thing, Rachel had she had a plan that if that building sold, when we went out for RFPs and we had those two bids, that if that building would have sold, she would have found places for all that equipment. It was not an optimal situation, but it was one that if we could sell it to a business who was going to be paying the city property tax revenue, which is what we use to pay our pensions, then that's something that we would want to strike out on, and we would find the solution. But again, when the RFPs failed, we moved forward, we started hearing from the electric department head, fire department, that the equipment that's in there is it's valuable equipment. If you go in there, it is packed front to rear to both sides. And so we decided to put off putting out another RFP until we can find a viable storage space for that equipment.
And I did provide a document to all of the council when I did all this, and I talked with Quentin, I talked with Jeff, and we had to do some real creative thinking to take everything out of that larger building, Ray, and move it to the other recycling building and the building adjacent to it, and then we would have had to invest in improvements on those buildings before we could even bring that gear in there. And when it was all said and done, the department heads were just kind of shaking their heads saying, this is not a good idea. It just isn't practical for you to sell that building out from under us. We use it, we need it, we've got a lot of equipment in there. It just wasn't the right solution. So that was the recommendation that I had made back to the council at that time.
And my whole thing on this is that at the time we're looking at an RFP with two bids. One's from the high school, one is from a viable business. It's a tax-exempt building as it is. We sell it to another tax-exempt entity. There's still no property tax that we get from that building. So, my biggest concern about the whole thing is at that time, when you look at a 2 to 3 split on selling it to a business entity and jobs and tax revenue and so on, it just, to me, I can't wrap my head around why we would not have sold that to a business at that time. I mean, it just simply does not make sense to me. We're running a city, we need revenue. And to put a point on this, we just learned last week that for fiscal year 2020, our pension liabilities for the police department is going up $100,000 a year. We don't have that money. We pay those pensions with our property taxes. Now, granted, that building was sold to a business, because we get property tax revenue. Now, it's not a lot, obviously. It's not a lot, but every penny is important that we bring into this city. Every single cent that's new revenue is important to this city. So this is just police. We haven't heard what our fire pensions are going to do, but I suspect you're going to see an increase there too. Our pensions are funded at 70%. By law, we are mandated to have those pensions funded at 90 or 95% by the year 2040. We've got a lot of retirees coming down the pike. It's going to add to the system. I don't want, those pensions are paid with our property taxes. The more property tax we can bring in, the better off we are. So again, when I talk about turning our back to added revenue, I don't care how little it is or how much it is, it's important to the city. We're running and managing a city. That's what we're doing. And revenue is very, very important to what we do as a city. So that's my stand.
Mayor, I appreciate your stand, but I would like to say, though, tonight you have a handout there people are going to be taking, and it still says here, turning our backs to businesses wanting to open or expand in town, turning away that revenue is bad for the city. In recent years, we have turned away a business wanting to buy a tax-exempt building and adding to the property tax rules. So I think I showed the council, we tried. We went back with the idea of an auction. Mr. Judge had an offer that we never heard about, so Mr. Judge approaches us on the street and says, what about my offer? I just like you to remove that from your posts on Facebook, because I think we as a council made an effort to give that project CPR, as I call it, and then to come to find out that Jerry says it would have been a mistake to sell that building if we would have sold it. If it was a mistake to sell, right, Jerry? I'm not putting words in your mouth. You felt it would have been a mistake to sell that building.
Right. After we took a good hard look at what was in there, what it was being used for, talked to the department heads and then tried to figure out exactly where we could locate that equipment to, and how much money we would have had to invest in these older buildings to bring them up to code so they could accept this equipment. It just wasn't practical. It didn't make sense.
So I'm done with my conversation. We have other things to discuss, I'm sure, that are just as important, if not more than this. But I thank you for your consideration of removing that off your Facebook post.
Any other old business? Any new business? Public comment. Just need your name.
I'm Marlene Russell, and I live here in Princeton. I have checked with the superintendent of the water department about testing for illegal sump pumps. He says that's not where they would go into houses and check. He says that's not an option at this time. In a few years, they might hire someone to go in and check houses. But there's also a smoke test that can be done. He said several years ago they did go into houses and check them. Well, I have some family here in town. Apparently they didn't check her house, because now with the letter that came out from the city about removing illegal sump pumps, they had theirs checked, and lo and behold, it's illegally hooked up to the sewer line. So apparently whoever did the checking didn't check every house, or I don't know what happened, but why couldn't a smoke test be done? I'm sure there's lots of illegal sump pumps hooked up here in town that contributes to the flooding problem. I'm fairly new to town. I've lived in old towns, never had a problem like this, but I'm told that Princeton has a high water level, and that's the problem. But this year has been awful. I've lost 4 months out of my life this year.
Anybody else? Just need your name.
Hi, I'm Julianne Mabry, and I really just want to offer assistance to you guys. I primarily run a helicopter service company, and I am fully responsible for all FAA regulation that is required for our business and what we do. I have a lot of agents that I deal with at the FAA, and so I'd be happy to help make those connections for anyone who wants to do that. I actually speak to them quite frequently, so I was speaking with them a few weeks ago, or last week, about the ordinance, just kind of in discussion about what you can do and can't do, and really the ordinance isn't really going to affect what I do because I have a lot of commercial things, and so I'm not here to argue or anything like that. But I think that you will find good resource in the FAA. There is already existing regulation that either prohibits or permits landing in congested area or public parks or things of that nature. And so I think that you will find a very good resource with just a quick phone call. The facility that would oversee this area would be out of DuPage. And so, but you're welcome to reach out to me, and I can help you connect those things. So, okay, thanks.
Any other public comment? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting to reconvene at our next.
I move that we adjourn tonight's meeting and reconvene for our next city council meeting on Monday, October 21st, 2019, 7 o'clock at City Hall.
Second.
Motion's been second, call roll.
Councilmember Swanson.
Aye.
Mabry.
Aye.
Gomez.
Aye.
Newman.
Aye.
Mayor Querem.
Aye. This meeting is adjourned, and thank you all for coming.